you very much. You may be seated. I will take this opportunity to read out that land acknowledgement for the City of Toronto. And on behalf of the Center for Black Development Options Canada, we acknowledge the land that we are meeting on is a traditional territory of the many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Bushwick, the Chippewa, the Inuit and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to diverse First Nations, the Inuit and the Métis people. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, I'll take this opportunity to welcome the co-founder and vice president of Cividoc, Mr. Tommy Nzira. You're most welcome, sir. I think we can clap for that. Thank you.
Mic check 1 2 1 2. Yeah. Thank you so much, Gloria, the presiding officer of the day. I think she deserves a hand clap. My name is Tony Muzira, and like the MC said, I'm the co-founder and the vice president advocacy and partner of the Center for Black Development Options. But before I go further, I asked Maurice to play the video of our story. Thank you.
Options Canada is a Black-led organization that is purposed to sort of capacitate, Black immigrants as well as Canada to sort of have a voice to also to contribute to policy making in this country.
Center for works to ensure that Black immigrants and refugees live dignified and productive lives in Canada.
Our mandate is creating an favorable opportunity to work with Black migrants so that they can live and thrive in Canada.
Cividoc comes in at a point where we felt that as immigrants, as refugees, as Black people generally, we have great potential, but sometimes this potential has not been tapped.
Organization has a niche of research-based research, but basically policy outreaches and research and education and learning. So the reason why we thought that Cividoc should come right now, because the Black people or the Black migrants and refugees need to be included into this kind of policy conversation.
One of the ways that Center for Black Development Options Canada is being an icebreaker or creating change in the policy environment in Canada here is the Policy Think Tank. It is a project that seeks to do some research in the area of policy so that we can have the policymakers come up with recommendations that fit or that are acceptable or that are convenient to Black people.
Cividoc comes at a point in time where we see a critical need to involve Black people, especially in the programming and services that are targeted towards them. We see we've seen of late an influx of so many people coming to Canada, but without clear policy guidelines on how to accommodate and integrate them into the Canadian system.
The Black people or the Black migrants and refugees need to be included into this kind of policy conversation. For example, if we are talking about housing, get you as a black immigrant or refugee, it's very hard for you to get housing. You know, the landlord or the landlady will ask you all the the property manager will ask you for, let's say, credit score, which you don't have because, first of all, you're not working, you don't have a work permit, you're not allowed illegally to work in Canada. So it becomes a bit challenging, and we find it a bit systematic. So we feel like why CBDOC should come on board to try to address this is to try and work with these black immigrants to understand their challenges, and then we provide alternatives.
And in our research, especially during the housing crisis that we had a few weeks ago, where we saw very, we saw terrible situations where we had very vulnerable people. For instance, as a woman, I speak about the pregnant women who are sleeping on the streets and not having where to put their heads, or not even having medical attention in their vulnerability. As CBDOC, we managed to direct them to resources where they could be helped. But this could only be achieved out of the policy think tank that we have in place, because when minds come together, we are able to brainstorm. And once we brainstorm, we are able to do research. And this research informs the policies or informs the change that we want to see amongst the Black people, especially the refugees at such a time as this.
CBDOC has been involved in a number of initiatives. I would actually mention that of recent we had the housing crisis, and we've been at the forefront of providing relief services to most of the newcomers, and majority have actually been Black immigrants and refugees. So we've been able to offer support, we've been able to offer compassion, we've been able to talk to them, we've been able to explain the different legal processes that they have to undertake to make sure that they're able to kind of
thank you so much. If we continue with the story, it may take a month. Yeah, but that was just to inform my presentation, which is one-page presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you to the first International Conference on Black Immigration and Refugees 2024. Isn't that exciting? It is an honor for me to stand before you today as the Vice President of Advocacy and Partnerships at the Center for Black Development Options Canada. This historic gathering brings together a diverse group of individuals, organizations dedicated to addressing the unique challenges and opportunities faced by Black immigrants and refugees around the world. In recent years, the global landscape of immigration and refugee movements has undergone significant transformations. Black immigrants and refugees in particular face distinct obstacles, from systematic racism and discrimination to socio-economic barriers and policy restrictions. Our conference today aims to shed light on these issues, foster meaningful dialogue, and inspire collaborative solutions. Our goal is to create a platform where voices that have been marginalized can be heard, where innovative ideas can be exchanged. Over the next 2 days, we'll engage in discussions that will span a range of topics, including policy advocacy, community support, integration strategies, and the celebration of cultural diversity. We just celebrated Canada Day just, I think, 2 or 3 days ago. So that's diversity. We'll hear from experts, activists, and those with lived experiences who will share their insights and stories. I want to take a moment to acknowledge the resilience, the strength of Black immigrants and refugees. Their journeys, most especially last year around this time, we had, a housing crisis in Toronto, where people just came into the country and were sleeping on the streets. They were going through a lot of hardship. And these are testaments to human spirits, enduring capacity for hope and perseverance. It is our collective responsibility to ensure that their experiences inform policies and practices that promote equity, justice, and inclusion. This conference would not be possible without the hard work and dedication of many individuals in this room and organizations. I would like to extend my deepest gratitude to our organizing committee led by our conference chair, Ali Kaviri, partners, sponsors, volunteers who have tirelessly worked to bring this to fruition. Your commitment to this cause is truly inspiring. To be specific, I want to thank United Way Greater Toronto that gave the birth of CBDOC to respond to the crisis that was happening last year. We got $10,000 last year to reach out. It's so emotional for me because people were going through a hard time, and we had to reach out, and the funds that you gave us, and they continue, thank you. We had to buy soap, food, and the different churches that we are hosting refugees. I also want to extend my gratitude to Grace Church Toronto. They offered us clothes, that we offer to the different of the refugees that we are on the streets. Oh my God, Youth Turning Point, you're our mentors. We wouldn't have done this without you. Thank you so much, Chris and Mohari. Toronto Alliance to End Homelessness. I just completed my fellowship with Maytree Policy School, and I want to welcome my folks, Hamia, and the rest others that are in the room. Thank you so much. And I believe this is going to be the start of CBDOC to make sure that we create solutions to the challenges. As I end my speech, as we embark on this conference, I want to encourage each of you to engage with an open mind and a compassionate heart. Let's use this opportunity to build bridges, forge new partnerships, and create actionable strategies that will make a tangible difference in the lives of Black immigrants and refugees. Thank you for being here and for your unwavering support. Together, we can make strides towards a more just and inclusive world. I look forward to the fruitful discussions and collaborative efforts that will emerge from this conference. Thank you so much. Merci beaucoup.
Gracias. Gracias. I'll throw that there. Too hot, too hot, too hot. Thank you. Or we say asante sana. Any other language? How do you say thank you? He already said that. Any other language? Come on, people, engage me, engage me. How do we say thank you in all our languages? How do you say thank you in your language? Asante. Mahatsanet. And how do I respond? How do you say you're welcome? Ha! I am going to take a lesson after this. Thank you so much. I'm going to take this opportunity once again to say you are most welcome. Did you learn a thing or two about CBDOC? When was it formed? I'm seeing if you are listening. The founders, you're not allowed to participate. When was CBDOC formed? During the crisis 2023, with the support of, there you go. You win a car. Everybody gets a car. Thank you so much. I'm going to take this opportunity to welcome a very important gentleman who will then bring on an amazing performer, just to, ice break or break the ice, as we like to call it. Mr. John, please come forward. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Gloria, and good morning, everyone. My name is Ojok Achi, and it's an honor to introduce Mose Wadmon Amone, an esteemed elder from Northern Uganda. Given the theme of this conference, Black Immigration and Refugees, Inclusive Policies for Equitable World, Mosey Wadmore's presence is of significant importance. He comes from a community that has endured one of the world's worst severe humanitarian crises. In 2003, the United Nations Undersecretary General for Humanitarian Affairs described this region, which is home to me, to Watmon, Odida, Tony, Amiro, and many others, as the worst place on earth to be a child. Worst place because over 66,000 children were abducted by armed forces of the Lord's Resistance Army in the dark of the night and forced into becoming child soldiers. An entire population of 1.7 million people were displaced and compelled to live in squalid internally displaced persons camps and refugee camps for over 20 years. Despite the hardship, Mosey Watmon, who is now 74 years old, started a cultural dance troupe, teaching children in traditional Acholi dances. He was doing this in order to preserve the culture of the Acholi people. Today, Watmon and his son are here to share some of these cultural treasures with you, starting with the flute, followed by the lukeme, they are doing next, and third, the nanga, and lastly, the bola royal dance. Given the timeline here, Wadmon will be performing each of these crafts for only 2 minutes each. So this should be a total of 10 to 15 minutes of a performance. Please join me in a warm welcome of Mosey Wadmon Amone. In a Choli community, we say a foil for thank you. May I please request Mosey Wadmon in a Choli and say, Ladit Wajuli, which means our elder will welcome you. That counts Mosey Wadmon. Thank you. So that is the flute, which we use when we go grazing our animals. So we would use the flute as a means of communication to identify where we are. And we will have a special guest dancer, Abigail, who will also join us shortly. Come over, Abigail. Let's give a warm applause to Abigail. Thank you. So that instrument is a demo, and they have one more. Thank you, and thank you so much, Abigail. So the Adumu is what we play when we are after harvest, and we sit in the evening around the fireplace. We play the Adumu, and we are going to pull the next instrument, which is called the lukeme. So this community is very rich musically and has a lot to offer. But today we shall just demonstrate about 5 instruments. And
I hope we are learning because there's a quiz after this. Uh-huh. Can we please clap for Abigail? Did you see Abigail? Oh my God. Yes, that's what we talk about when we say preservation of our heritage, literally. And she's Canadian born.
thank you. So that instrument, and the second last instrument that we use is called the nanga. This is absolutely special. So this is played before chiefs and played at marriages. an absolutely special instrument played all over the world, in all international conferences, musical conferences. This instrument was especially played in 1967 at the Montreal International Music Festival, 1967, when my people came to Canada for the first time, play this instrument. This is the second time at CBDOC. Thank you.
We did that malu itu we did man. We malu itu di kamera we did malu.
So this instrument is as old as the definition and the signature of the Jolly. And last, they will demonstrate one thing, which is the Acholi Bola Royal Dance. It's a snippet of about 2 minutes. You won't get to see the whole thing. You need to come to Northern Uganda. It's danced by about 100 people, all dressed up in the royal regalias when they dance. It's a terrific, majestic dance. We cannot have 100 people in Canada perform this. He's here to train and teach children like Abigail, my daughter, and many other Canadians, kids, to learn this. But this is what he was doing when he was in Uganda in the refugee camps. This is going to be loud, so you won't need a microphone. So this is, I know this is just a snippet. It's not enough. We couldn't do all of it. That was a demo of about 1 minute of what the drumming sounds like for the actually royal dance. Thank you very much. This is the end of our performance. Thank you so much for having Jose Watmon right here with us. Over to you, Gloria. Thank you, Abigail. And thanks-
Abigail, come close. I want to talk to Abigail. How long did it take you to